Hello everyone, welcome back to another narration story thing. I don't actually have an original story for you today this time. Well, first of all, what you're watching right now is pretty much what I've been doing for the past several months, to kind of combat the stress and the restlessness from having to stay at home. You see, a person in my household was tested positive for COVID, so naturally my job was like, okay, yeah, you need to be on quarantine also, and you need to go get yourself tested to make sure that you didn't catch it due to exposure. I'm currently still waiting on the test results, but I think I'm going to be okay. If you hear some sounds in the background or some talking, don't worry about it. It's just natural background sounds. I'm not editing out anything from the background. I'm just doing a raw audio footage today. But anyway, while I was doing these adult coloring pages, I was also scouring Facebook for just random content, and I came across this creator named Bailey Sarian. Sorry, Bailey. Now, she does primarily makeup tutorials, and she's good at it. She's way better at makeup than I could be. But every Monday, she does a true crime story. She talks about a true crime case. How do you English? And it was just so interesting. I don't know what it is about true crime. I don't know, maybe it's my own morbid curiosity. But in one of the stories, she talked about our ingrained fear of windowless vans. And it sparked a memory in my own memory of a story that I had heard. Well, first of all, is there anyone out there who remembers the show America's Most Wanted? For those who don't know or don't remember, it was a show that took place between the years 1988 and 2012. Yes, I actually did some research where they would talk about these crimes that people have committed and the evidence that they gathered, and then they would give the description of this person because they are at large and still looking for that person. But when Bailey talked about a windowless van, it reminded me of one case in particular that really stuck out to me. As you read from the beginning warning, the content is graphic, so viewer discretion is advised. Now this is difficult to talk about because it is so sick. Absolutely so horrific. But it was these two white men. I think they were somewhere between their mid-20s to early 30s. What they would do is that they would go around in this big white van. I don't remember if they said the van was windowless or not. I think it was. But I think the way they had it was it had no back windows, and the windows in the front and windshield were tinted. I think that's how they described the van. One more disclaimer. I don't remember the actual names of the criminals. I don't remember the actual name of some of the girls, much less the main girl in this story, which is where the story takes a turn for the better. I know it sounds weird when I say for the better, but just hear me out, okay? Okay, so these two men claiming to be Christians would go around in this big white van at night looking for sex workers. One of them would pretend to proposition the girl and be like, okay, yeah, I've got the money. Here, let's go in the back of my van. And then as soon as the van was, like the back of the van was open, the first guy would push her in, slam the doors, and like they would talk to each other over their walkie-talkies. And they would say things like, like the first guy would be like, "I got her, Bill, go, go, go." And the other one would be like, "Roger that, Bill." They called each other Bill. I think is like their code name was Bill. So they would take the girls back to their home, and they would torture the girls. They would torture the girls. They would degrade the girls. They would sexually abuse and sexually assault the girls. And they would keep them chained up. When they weren't home, they would keep them chained up in the closet with a cat box, with a litter box on the bottom. Like that was supposed to be their bathroom. And they would keep the girls in there for like days until they take them out and start torturing them again. Like they were supposed to wear a diaper. It was like so degrading. And one girl who managed to escape, and I'll get to her story in a minute, she talked about when they would abuse her, they would make her say, "I love you, Bill, I love you, Bill, I love you, Bill," over and over and over again. And like, it was so awful. And the reason for them to do this was so that they will learn the error of their ways and discontinue their sinful life of prostituting themselves on the street. Like, does it not occur to you at all? Did it not occur to them at all that what they're doing is worse than what the ladies were doing, that the women were doing? But that was just... This story is so hard to tell. Okay. I can do this. Okay, so one of the women, the one who escaped, we'll call her Stacy because, again, I don't remember her name. There's one day, one evening, where they had her handcuffed to the bed, where she had like one hand handcuffed to one bedpost and the other handcuffed to the other bedpost. She was sitting there on the edge of the bed with the handcuffs. And she saw one of the Bills stapling insulation on the inside of the house, and they kept telling her, like, once this is all here, they'll never hear you scream. You'll be here forever. So she was sitting there and she was thinking, if they finish putting up this insulation, I'm done for. Side note, I didn't include this, but after they were done torturing the girls, mercifully, they didn't kill them. Although I don't know how mercifully that is, that they didn't kill them, because, after dealing with that kind of trauma, I don't know if I would have the will to live anymore. But that's beside the point. But what they would do with the women after they were done doing what they did with her, they would wait until nightfall. They would blindfold her, put them in the back of their van, drive them out to like miles away, and then just drop her off. Just leave her out there and just peel away before she could see what direction they went. Most of the time, the girls would just, as soon as she hit the pavement, her feet hit the pavement, she was running. She didn't even bother to look back. A lot of these times, these women would be dropped off in areas completely unfamiliar to them, so they would have to gather their bearings and try to figure out, okay, where am I right now? Where can I go to find something? I need to call the police or do something. But Stacy, going back to her story. Stacy, she was sitting on the bed with the handcuffs, with one of the bills stapling insulation to the inside of the house. I don't remember if the other bill was in the house as well, but she was sitting on the bed and she saw on a side table like this Christian pamphlet. And then that's when she got an idea. She then told the bill putting up the insulation, asked him if she could have one of her hands free so she could read the pamphlet and read about how she can be less sinful. And, he hesitated for a minute, but then decided, this is what we do. This is what we do it for. Okay. So he uncuffs one of her hands and hands her the pamphlet and goes back to doing what he was doing. And soon as his back was turned and he moved to another part of the house to start putting insulation, she worked her other hand out of the handcuff because her hands were super tiny. So she forced them out and then made a run for it. Now there were several locks on the door that she had to unlock to be able to get out. So it was her against the clock at this point before Bill had made his way back to her, because of course he was chasing her. Their latest victim was running. But she barely managed to get out of the house. Barely. And then just took off down the street. The other Bill, he didn't chase her. I don't know what for. Maybe he thought that it would draw more attention, or she would see what direction the house was in, or what was going on in his mind. But whatever. So Stacy takes off down the street and she starts banging on the doors, and she finds one house that finally lets her in, and she tells them her story, and they let her use their phone to call the police. So the police come and they provide her with some clothes because she was still wearing a diaper at this point, still wearing her diaper, still wearing her underwear. It was so degrading and so embarrassing, but at that moment, I don't think she was thinking about her modesty. I think she was thinking more along the lines of, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So the police, she gives her statement to the police, and they do their thing with, taking a statement, doing whatever they do. And the next day, after she gets some clothes, after she gets some food and she gets some water, they would I think they said that they would starve the girls as well. So I think that was also a big part of the torture. But they asked her where was the house, and at first she couldn't remember, but she roughly remembered the neighborhood that I was in, that she was in. So they put her in a car and they drove around the house, around the neighborhood, and she was looking at all the houses, she wasn't recognizing any of them. And then she saw one house, she recognized the window because it was the window that had some insulation on it. And she said, that's it, that's the house. So the police, naturally, they go to the house to make an arrest. But the Bills aren't home. They're gone. They packed up and left. Everything is gone. So I don't remember if it was a matter of weeks or a matter of months or a matter of years. But eventually, first of all, the Bills, they managed to elude the police for so long. But then one of the Bills, I'm pretty sure it was a few years later, came forward and turned himself in. He turned himself in, but they have no idea. They had no idea where the other Bill was. So that's the story of the Bills. I think the reason why this story stuck in my mind so much was the emphasis that the other Bill was still out there. He was still at large. Now, realistically, I like to think that realistically, the other one is, after 20 years, is either has already been caught and locked up, and or is dead. Personally, I would be okay with either one. This was so sick. This is so sick. I mean, I understand the religious emphasis that a lot of people put on sex workers, but it's like, this was extreme. This was not a religious thing. This was not a religious activity that they took part in. This was two sickos that just wanted to get their rocks off, and they used religion to do so as an excuse, if you will. This is why it just makes me so mad. It makes me so mad when I see anyone using their religion as an excuse to harm someone. It's like, is that really what your religion entails? Or is that just what you have interpreted? It just... I need a drink of water. Could actually really go for a drink of something else right now to calm down. But just... Anyway, realistically, he's probably already caught and in jail and in prison by now, or dead. But there is still that small part of me inside that thinks, what if he's not, though? What if he's still out there? What if that sicko is still out there finding a new way to torture women? Or anyone, for that matter. My cat has opened my door. Zeus, how did you open the door, buddy? You don't have thumbs. I think my cat... Come on. I think my cat knows how upset I am, and he wants me to feel better. Okay, so I got all the boys in here. Alright, anyway, where was I? It just makes me so mad. Makes me so mad, it makes me so tired already to hear about people hurting each other. Because I don't see why would you want to. I mean, we're all, if you think about it, we're all the same race. We're all the human race, so why would you want to hurt? Why would you want to hurt anyone else, despite what choices they have made for their lives? Logan, stay off the side table. Oh, excuse me. But it irritates me even more when people use religion to do so. I mean, something that's supposed to give their life meaning. Logan, what are you hissing at him for? See, this right here, this behavior right here, I don't understand. You're both cats. You are both felines. Why do you want to hurt each other? It's like, okay, I understand. You'd want to... Everyone's got some kind of instinct for survival. But to instigate it, I just don't get it. I don't know, maybe I'm not supposed to. Alright, boys, come on. Come on, out. Out. Y'all really weren't supposed to be in here to begin with. I don't know. I think that the things that I'm the most worried about are the women that they did this to. I mean, let's assume that every single one of them are still alive. Let's assume every single one of them are still alive. It's like, what kind of help are they receiving? Because you know that's got to be a traumatic experience. I can't imagine ever having to go through something like that. I don't know, I guess I've just had a lot on my mind recently. It makes me so mad! I'm okay. Alright. I apologize for the outburst. Just be good to each other. Please. It doesn't take any energy at all to be nice to someone. You know what I mean? It doesn't take any energy at all to maybe sit down with someone and talk to them about why do they make the choices they do. You know what I mean? And I mean that in the sense of sex workers. I mean, what if those women didn't have any choice? And also, if they were so hell-bent on prostitution being a sin, why did they just abduct women? Why was it just women? There was no motive behind that, no real motive except for control. I'm a little sad that America's Most Wanted is off the air now. I'm gonna be completely honest. Because from what I understand, it did bring a lot of people to justice. A lot of people to justice. But whatever the reasons why it stopped, I'm sure they were very good reasons. Anyway, I guess the only thing I can say now is enjoy the rest of my coloring. Doing something that literally anyone can do. Let yourself relax a little bit after that big rant, after that really heavy story. Make good choices. As Bailey Sarian would say, make good choices and get better idols. See you later.